We need it. Oxygen. It's why we breathe.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It is my favorite time of the week, and that is when I get to interview wonderful guests. Now, today's guest is no stranger to me. She has been not only doing her thing that she does as an emotionally focused therapist, certified in helping people overcome the challenges and things holding them back and just shifting all of that energy towards good, but she has been a tremendous force in the success of Helpopedia, which some of you may know is the nonprofit I'm involved in, indeed, Big Hearts, where we are focused on helping youth rise up to deal with the challenges of school, of work, and of life by supporting their parents and caregivers. So, with that, I know that's a big introduction, but we really appreciate Christine and all she does for Helpopedia, leading our chapter on well-being. But she's here today to talk about her business, which is ChristineBernat.com. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laurelyn. I'm excited to be here with you. And we've known each other for 2, 3 years now. Time flies, eh? 3 years. Okay. Thank you for keeping tabs. Time
Almost.
flies, but
Yeah.
I'm having fun focusing on the ripple effect of love for dads and families, a new program that I created way back in September, November, and turned into a live and supporting these dads. There's so much support out there for women, but when you
That's
look
right.
for dads, for men, it's like, where is it? There's a little bit here, there's a little bit there. But for women, you've got men and women helping women, but who's helping those men? And they need it. You know, they were raised to be like the protector, the provider. But in some couples, dad's the stay at home guy. And what does that do to his emotional, to his DNA, if you will? So it's very exciting to be bringing forth support for these dads, for me anyway.
And there's a lot of this in there. So we're going to unpack things bit by bit. We're going to take the conversation in a few different directions today, but it's all good. And so we're anchored first. Let's start off. I like to always begin with one question. Christine, what are you good at?
What am I good at? So many things. That's a great
I think so
question.
too.
I think my gift really is to be able to support the person and identify the core issue of the problem, of the emotional, negative emotions people are carrying. And just to be able to see it, sense it, feel it. Like, to me, that is so easy. You know how some people, engineers is easy, some of them it's math, some of them is languages. For me, that's what's super easy. So it gives me a heads up as a coach, right? Who can see beyond the words, beyond what is being presented to me, to the core issue, and quickly find the solution that's needed.
That's it. I would describe that as your superpower. You can zero right in there and go, wait, your energy's blocked. Let's unblock you. And Christine has this wonderful technique called snap, tap, zap. So, because we also start off every show with a tip for our listeners, we've got a lot of small business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs in our listenership and our viewership on our YouTube. We're also live there. But I think it's really important for you to talk to folks a little bit about this Snap Tap Zap and what it can do. So, would you be willing to share the tip on how folks can de-stress and exhale?
I would love to. And this came to me through meditation in 2021, where I needed it, first of all. And then I've come to realize that self-regulation is one of the most important tools to have in your toolbox. Now, there are different self-regulating techniques, but I think snap, tap as you inhale, Relax those shoulders. You can shake them up a little bit and exhale that out. So breath work, we all know, is proven to work. But I'm adding a little bit of tapping. I'm adding imagination, which is also proven to be very, very productive and very efficient. So and the sound, right? I'm using many different senses. So it's not just for the visual person or the auditory person, it's also for the person that needs to feel and hear. So when we snap and we breathe in and we tap on a meridian point, that sends a message to our amygdala to say, you are safe. Even though our brain is saying, no, I'm not. They're going to hate me. They're going to, my kid roll their eyes at me. They're going to dislike me. Or you're going to, I do this a lot there's a group that I run on Alignable. And I've had women do the snap, tap, zap before they go and into the breakout rooms, and their faces completely change. They come back with valuable resources or exchanges and relationships because they took the stress down and they were present in their prefrontal cortex to be able to really tune into what the other person is saying instead of, oh, when can I get my word in? What am I going to get out of this? So your brain is like in survival mode instead of being just present, 100% listening. So the snap tap zap is a self-regulating tool to really get you grounded in the moment and to be present and to just kind of push away the worries, the stress. Well, push away or put them down the spiraling train into the magma to be burned, and then you feel safer. And when you feel safe, you can be present, right?
Well, that's just it. And I've been with Christine, folks, on dozens and dozens of calls where she has started the call by leading us through her snap, tap, zap. Now you can expel your hot air or your worries and stress into anything she suggests, into a volcano, into the magma. I just like blow it into the sky, but everybody gets to visualize it differently.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was, in each of those instances, Christine has asked the audience to say, what's your stress level? Or how good are you feeling? If your stress level's 9 or 10, after her exercise, people are down to a 3 or a 4. So it makes a significant difference. So I want you to keep that in mind, all of you entrepreneurs and folks, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're listening, because I can pretty much guarantee in this weird and wonky world we live in that you're
Yes.
probably experiencing some stress some of the time and you need a tool to quickly release it.
Yes, and it doesn't need to be much. It can be a heading you read in the newspaper and you're like, how dare they? And you can go into the how dare they for days, or you can snap, breathe in, scan your body, relax, and exhale that onto the spiraling train that will bring it down into the magma to burn it, or into the sky, whatever you want. I have all kinds. I've found some people love the incinerator and they love blowing it into the incinerator. Zap it out and pay attention to your body, because your body is your truth. If your body is stressed and anxious, well, there's something behind there that needs to be resolved. And if your body feels relaxed, light, expansive, free, well, you're doing amazing. Keep going.
And I want you to whatever extent you're comfortable sharing with our listeners some of your journey of fibromyalgia and how these stress points and flare points in your journey as an entrepreneur have impacted you, but how you've worked and to develop this method and to overcome some of these limitations. Can you just share a little bit about your background in EFT?
Yeah, I can share quickly that in the last week of 2016, so in 2017, I crashed. And when I say I crashed, I was sleeping 20 hours a day. And after 3 weeks, I said, come on, Christine, you got to get up and do something with yourself. I couldn't go back to work. I mean, we only have 2 weeks at Christmas. We don't have 3 weeks. I had already called in sick and they were anxious for me to go back to work, but there was no way I could go back to work. And a series of events happened and I did not go back to work. I had discovered EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and it was get your health back. So I did it, took 3 months, and my health did not come back the way they promised. So I'm very careful about the promises I make because I've had lots of people make promises that didn't hold, right? However, by 2018, February 2018, I will just say that I had collected diagnoses, the fibromyalgia, the complex PTSD, the major depression, the burnout, the Reynolds disease. And I was sick of going to the doctors. And I went to see a lady that was a naturopath, but had been a doctor in France. And she put me on a very severe diet, and which I followed for 3 years or 4 years. It helped, but my emotions kept going, like my health was going like this. So it wasn't the food, right? Because I had checked, had done that, and was paying a lot for the supplements. So then one night in the middle of the night, I just got this message like EFT Lindsay. And I said, okay, I've had enough. It kept waking me up. So I Googled EFT Lindsay. And right there and then I signed up for Deborah Lindsay's EFT course, which I loved doing with her. She is amazing. She was trained by number one, the person who created EFT, Gary Craig, who's an engineer. You can Google him. You will see he explains it really well how the EFT works. Or you can call me up, whatever you want. And then the steady up started really happening. And by 2020, I started hiking a bit, and 2021, 22, I was doing mountains again, 23, 24. So, and then something else happened in 25. So I'm here today, but a bit of pain is in my life right now. However, it will not stay because I've really been looking at what helped with this and that. And I know I've reduced the inflammation down. So I know now I just need to have my sciatic nerve put back in place. And hopefully I will be on the right track for my hiking again, which I love and miss a lot.
But, and I thank you for sharing that because I know that that's a lot, but I don't think your journey is atypical for folks that are going through transitions, going through, this whole journey of entrepreneurship, the ups, the downs, the stresses. And so people have to find a solution that works for them. And we're all just so glad that you found one that works for you. Sciatica right now, having
Yeah.
suffered from that myself, I get it. It's not fun, but there's some bright spots, around the corner. And for those of you that don't know, Christine is located in a beautiful forest in Province, Quebec, which is in Canada, kind of straight up above there, above Vermont and New
Yeah.
York State, if you kind of think about the geography that way. And
Newport. I'm
there you
right. I'm
go.
30 minutes from Newport.
So now you know where Christine is. And
Mhm.
as a Canadian, I always like to talk with my other fellow Maple Leafs fans, right? And I don't mean the hockey team, right? But all of us, the maple syrup and all of that sort of good stuff. So before we derail this any further, so Christine, let's go back to what you've recognized as a need as far as the ripple effect of love for dads. And talk to us about what you're hearing with respect to the dads that have been your clients and what they need and how you're helping them.
So basically, if you're committed to leave a legacy of love and you're committed to self regulate, you can make huge changes. For example, it all starts with loving yourself. That's self-love. So that was the first thing. Are you putting your oxygen mask on first? Right? We often hear that for the moms, but how about for the dads? The dads need this. They need to find win-win solutions that bring them joy, and they're putting their oxygen mask on at the same time. So it's a whole new way of thinking. Instead of saying, I told you to sit down, you better sit down, don't roll your eyes, which is the way we were brought up by dads, weren't we? Most of us, anyway. And it's not because they don't love us, it has nothing to do with that. It's learned behaviors, and it's a generational behavior, right? Grandpa was like that, grandma was like that. And it's not in all families, but in those families. So I start by helping dads create a clear vision of what it is they want. And I have this one dad that I have in mind. His vision was to understanding and communication were his two key words that he wanted. But he had some anger issues, which is okay, right? To have anger issues. We all do. Okay. I did when my kids were growing up because I didn't know how to self regulate back then. And as he learned to self regulate and not be the anger, but be himself, right? His loving self, and taught him how to get the family to support him on that journey. So that if he had a slip up, the kids, instead of running away and crying, they could say, Dad, do you need to self-regulate? Let's snap, tap, zap together. Become a team, a loving team. And that is so beautiful because we're human beings. We make mistakes, and it's okay. We are not perfect. And it's not about being perfect. It's about building that stronger relationship with your children, and also learning to ask, how can I help? This dad had his 12-year-old daughter ask him, how can I help, Dad? She walked down one morning. The other three kids were all over the place, and she could tell that Dad was at ends with. And she came down and she said, how can I help, Dad? He had been modeling that for her. So she was able to remodel it. Be the example of what you want to see in your children. And that just comes, so, we often say teens. I've worked with other families where teens were the issue. Teens are not the issue, I'm sorry. Parents are. And unfortunately, we can't see that. We want to fix our kids. And I've talked to countless people that work with children, and they always say, start by fixing the parent. I know parents don't want to hear that, and it's okay. Just try to self-regulate first and see then. And sometimes we need to have a few one-on-one appointments to just take the weight off of very heavy things. If you can't remember your childhood, you're probably the best client for me, because I will be able to see it and I will be able to release it so that you can just feel that weight be lifted off of you. And then you can have those memories that you can share with your children. And there's so many other things that, learn to let go of expectations and just be in the moment, because there's that fear of not being good enough, right? That's one of those big, big fears. And I taught them to reconnect to joy, finding joy in everyday moments. Yes, today I had terrible pain when I had to walk to the bank. It was excruciating. But when I came back and I was eating my lunch, I was enjoying my lunch. I was enjoying the view of the lake just above the computer. I'm able to disconnect, well, not disconnect, but stay connected to the present moment. Because right now when I'm sitting, I don't have much pain, maybe one or two. So, I'm doing pretty good right in this moment. But if you ask me to get up and walk around and put the weight on that leg, I'm not going to be in the same mood. And that's okay. And it's accepting that. And it's knowing that in that moment, I am not my pain. I am more than my pain. And with anger, I am more than my anger. I'm an awesome person. And there's so many reframes that we can do to become that loving leader, you know, and just by doing the snap, tap, zap. And I asked this dad, how often are you doing snap, tap, zap? He says, all the time. Because there's always
Right.
something triggering you, right? With 4 kids, another beautiful example in this family is a 10-year-old at school who usually would have been involved in the bullying events, that would have escalated. This 10-year-old who had been self-regulating with dad at home and helping dad and dad helping him, there was an incident and the child was able to how can I say this? With lots of love and gentleness and kindness, solve the issue. Can you
And that's what
imagine?
we want, right? This is
Yes.
just it. Like this whole emotional intelligence, we hear a lot about it. Some people say,
Mhm.
oh, it's just common sense or it's bunk. It's not. It's just that ability to take that moment to breathe and say, wait a minute, there could be consequences of my words. I can't unsay them. There could be consequences of my actions. I can't undo them. But just take that moment before I do something that is going to go in the wrong direction, right? And it's huge that this program that you've launched is having the impact not just on the dads, but on their families, right? And their children. And this is what we want to see, right? That whole expansive effect. Like you say, the ripple effect of love.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect because if you can stay centered and grounded in love, and I only started this in 2021. Both my children were adults at the time, and they've seen my growth, and I see their growth.
Mm.
Because when I talk to them from a place of love, not of expectations and, anger or how could you or why did you do that? Like, that's not the right kind of curiosity. The right kind of curiosity would be, how did that make you feel? Right? Bring them back to their emotions, to their body, how their body feels. And that way, they can lead from their heart instead of the head, instead of what they're told, or and what really happens when you were talking, the one thought that popped up, Laura Lynn, was it's these fears, these unconscious fears, the fear of, when you tell another kid their mom is XYZ and it hurts you, you're hurt. So in our society, the way I see a lot of things on TV, somebody hurts you, you hurt them back, right? Yeah. And how's that working for you? Really? It just keeps escalating. And and that's why it's so important that we can get to understand our emotions and the signals, what it signals. A child rolling their eyes does not signal that they don't like you. It signals that inside of them something's happening. Okay, they're exasperated, they're showing you their emotion by rolling
Mm.
their eyes. And I have a perfect example. When I was teaching, I had this student in my class that would roll her eyes, and I knew it was who she was, it wasn't who I am. And she couldn't get away with rolling her eyes with me. I'd say, okay, what's going on? Just go, oh, and then
Hey,
we get to the
I
bottom
know
of
that
it.
face.
Yeah, I know that face. I'm not taking it personal. Instead of it becoming a conflict between her and I, it became, oh, what's going on? You're trying to tell me something. The way you're telling me, I don't really enjoy that way of you telling me that. We can say something like that, but what is it that you're really trying to say? Are you trying to say that you saw who did the thing and you don't think that things are fair? For her, justice was so important. And it's discovering what your child's most important values are. And a lot of children today have justice. If they see injustice, they will react in all kinds of weird ways that we find non acceptable, right? Because respect. But are we respecting that their sense of justice was broken down?
It's true. I mean, these are big questions. And where I want to bring it back in and around to small business owners and entrepreneurship, that especially with not just the mums out there, as you said, there's a lot of programs to support mums and women's networking and how we lean on each other. Although my soapbox is I don't think women help women enough, but that's a separate story. That a lot of us are trying to deal with the combination of a business and the highs and lows and what we're trying to do with that and the finances and this and that and staff issues and inventory issues and all kinds of things. Tariffs, right? We can talk, Canada and US on both sides of the border now. That's an issue. There's always something. But on top of all of that, many of us are parents, and so
Mhm.
we're struggling. How do we manage those relationships? Or we're in a personal relationship and we've got to try to manage that and find time. I know my fiance calls himself a startup widower because he's
Mhm.
always alone, right? Because you're always working on your business. And so you've got to find ways to connect and overcome that. So, Christine, when you do go ahead, you have something to say.
Yes, because there's a program or a thing online called the 5 love languages. So if you're a business owner and your spouse or your fiance or boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, feels like they're the widower, you know, check that out and see what your personality type is and what theirs is, so that the amount of time you give them to their perspective will be a high quality time where they really feel loved, instead of because if you're always going, oh, you wouldn't believe what's going on with my business, and you have an hour every day and an hour every day is that, I'm not sure this guy or this gal's going to want to stick around with you, right? So what if you make it count? And that's again, snap, tap, and zap all your worries. Take a minute, take 2 minutes so that you can have 30 minutes of full on time, or 5 minutes. I mean, it can be the best kiss you've given your spouse. But 5 minutes, I don't know, what is it that some people it's gifts, some people it's touch, some people it's quality time, some people, we all have our love language. And understanding that can make it more meaningful in that relationship, so that you both feel loved, even though you may not have much time.
That is so true, and I'm very thankful. He's wonderful, and we have a really really good connection. But we work on it. I don't drama dump. I don't, I really, hold that stuff in.
I'm
I lean
sure,
on.
because he wouldn't be there anymore, would he?
Well, well, that's just it, right? But that's what friends and female founders are for. It's like, what's your nonsense you're dealing with this week?
Yeah.
Let me listen to it, let me carry it, because guaranteed there will come a day where I need to take the things off my shoulders and I need your help to carry it, right?
Yeah.
That's part of where I love working with folks that have walked in similar experiences and they understand some of the trials and tribulations of entrepreneurship and the demands that are met, right, on all different angles from personal and professional stuff. So
Yeah.
keeping this going. So, Christine, what advice do you give our small business owners out there based on the journey that you've had in establishing ChristineBernat.com and all of your coaching and programs and your ripple effect of love for dads? What do you want to tell folks?
Listen to you. There are thousands of people trying to reach out to me because they will create the best website. They will create the best LinkedIn profile for me. They will create. I tried it. I spent money and I didn't get anywhere. Actually, I went down. I lost more clients trying to follow their advice. So there's a distinction that I want to make. It's not when you listen to a course, make sure it's your needs, not their needs, right? And if you're an empath, it's challenging to be able to see what are really my needs. Okay, I know what he wants or she wants. They want this. But what is it that I really need right now help with? Okay. And then when you take the course, take it with a grain of salt, asking, how can I implement that for me, for my success? And meditate on it. Get rid of the fears that are coming up. Oh, but and if and blah, 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 And if you see yourself procrastinating, it's because you have fears. If you're not taking those important steps that move your business forward, there's always a million things to do. Which is the one that you're doing today that makes your business move one step further, right? And where can you invest your money? And I do mean invest. For example, when I started the Ripple Effect of Love just before, I was like, I cut off other expenses that I had, and I spent $114 to be able to broadcast on 3 platforms simultaneously. And wow, isn't that time saving? And I do it live. That way you get the raw Christine, which is the real me. And it's okay. I just align with myself. And all this stuff that I put together, like they were 2 years of hiking. And when I hike, I have ideas. So follow your ideas, follow your intuition, make the distinction between your instinct, your intuition, and your ego. Yeah, the intuition is the one you want to follow. Learn, try, practice, There's many, many tips. And if you want some tips, get a hold of me. I'll support you in that. But it's really cultivating that self-love, and the self-love brings the self-confidence. Right? Because sometimes when we start out, we don't have that confidence. Well, I've never done this. How can I do this? Today, I would say I managed classes of 25 to 32 students with 11 IEPs, split level, and reading level was from grade 2 to grade 8. The math level was from grade 3 to grade 6, and I managed all these children. I mean, hey, wasn't I an entrepreneur in the classroom, right?
Sure.
Managing all the needs and special needs students, and so it's just believing in ourselves, like believe in you, and find the people that make you feel really good inside, because the others will find ways to put you down when you least expect it, and you might believe them, and that's not good.
No, and they'll take advantage. So, a couple of things I want to call out in what you said. Number one, forest bathing. I really believe in that. It is a Japanese ideology and practice, and you can adopt it. Doesn't matter where you live. Go out there and enjoy nature. Just put your damn phone down. Take the moments, right, to absorb and listen to the sounds. This is one of the things I do every morning at 6 a.m. I walk with my little dog, and we have the neighborhood to ourselves, and the deer and the bunnies and the birds. And it's just so wonderful to have that peace, that privilege of focus,
Yeah.
the time to be able to connect and bond with my dog and give her 100%. There's no phone, there's no anything.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's wonderful, and practice gratitude. That's how I start my day. So I
And you're
highly recommend
filling
the forest
yourself
thing.
up with yourself
Yes.
instead of filling
Yes.
yourself up with what social media wants, what this, what everybody else wants. You need to fill yourself up. And one of my episodes, I have Byron Garcia, who talks about biomimicking, which comes from the forest bathing. And yes, it is used, and it is used in engineering now. So there you go.
Exactly, right. It's powerful. And the other thing I wanted to comment on, the whole thing, anybody who tells you, oh, I've got this webinar and they're going, oh, this is going to be great. This is how you're going to become a best-selling author. This is how your webinar is going to generate thousands of leads. This is my method. And you've listened for the 58 minutes and you're still like, oh, wait, where is it? What is it? What's the trick? What's the secret? And then you get the link, buy my X.
Yeah.
No, no. There's better ways. Look for the folks who are actually doing the things that you need to be done. And as Christine said, follow your intuition. Are they focused on their needs or are they focused on your needs? Right? That's a big thing. So just as we're getting close to wrapping up here, Christine, can you tell folks where they can find you on Alignable and other sources?
Yes, they can find me on Alignable. I have a group called Christine's Mindful Practices. Nice small group there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Christine Bernat, Bernat. I'm a little bit on TikTok and Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. I think it's called Christine Bernat EFT Transformation, and the EFT is for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And of course, if you can't find me, contact Laura Lynn and she'll tell you how to get a hold of me. There you go.
Absolutely. And you can also find Christine on our YouTube channel, Midlife Success. She has a program called Step into Success that she does with Maria Anna Di Giorgio. And so that's just started. So you can
Yeah.
Christine in a lot of places. Our last question, of course, my signature question that I ask all of my podcast guests now, and I think I've got to look at the numbers, but I think we're getting close to number 250 in the 5 seasons we've done this, right? Yeah. It's been a slog, complete with a burnout and a crash there, and a whole hiatus for a year. Well, I unfried myself, all of that. Anyway, the question is, if we could peek into your closet right now in Quebec, Canada, Christine, and there was a pair of footwear in there, shoes, boots, flip-flops, something that said, this is my personality. This is who it represents Christine Bernat.
My hiking boots.
Okay.
I would say my hiking boots. I buy the highest quality hiking boots and they last me for a while and they're starting to get used, but they're still awesome. I changed the soles this summer because I had worn out the soles of my hiking boots. So the guy put some new ones on for me. Not the guy, the le cordonnier, the I don't know how to
Cobbler.
say that.
Cobbler.
Yes, the cobbler changed. Here, we have a small town, a city close by, and we have a cobbler, which is really kind of cool. And so it's like having new boots to hike in and enjoy life.
That's the way to go. So, all right. With that, folks, thank you so much for listening and supporting all of our guests that we have on Small Business Stories. Got plenty more to come. We're just leaning on each other. No more fry out because we've got dozens of guests already queued up after Christine here. So keep those suggestions coming. Bring them to the show. Love to interview folks and hear what you are doing as a small business success story, or as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur starting out, anything that you've got so that we can help you help others. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Laura Lynn. It was a pleasure to exchange with you.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?